After spending a decade as Victoria's companion, she grew weary and posted an announcement on her social media feed. Transferring my assistant. Excellent chef available around the clock. Highest bidder wins. The guy she had feelings for immediately liked it. Within 10 minutes, she deleted the post and casually uploaded another one. Penalty for losing a bet. Don't take it seriously. However, someone had already taken it very seriously. Victoria's closest friend, someone I knew struggled with severe eating difficulties, contacted me immediately, offering an extraordinarily generous sum for me to become her private cook. I accepted the payment without hesitation. When Elena Martinelli's call came through, I was in the middle of preparing a meal and answered without thinking. "Is this Mr. Anderson?" she asked. "This is Elena Martinelli speaking." "Speaking. How may I help you?" I replied, genuinely confused. I had absolutely no idea why Elena Martinelli would be reaching out to me. During freshman orientation at Riverside University, we were all required to live on campus. Elena had been Victoria's roommate during that time. After orientation ended, they both moved to off-campus housing but maintained their friendship. I didn't know her well. We had only crossed paths a handful of times through Victoria. The voice on the other end continued. "I saw Victoria's social media post. I remember you're an excellent cook. Would you be interested in working for me?" Elena explained everything concisely, then asked. $7,000 a month. Does that work for you if it's not enough?" "Wait," I interrupted, finally processing what she was saying. "What post?" I put the phone on speaker, switched apps, and pulled up Victoria's social feed. She hadn't posted anything. Elena paused, her cool, pleasant voice tinged with confusion. "You didn't see it?" A moment later, she sent me a screenshot of Victoria's post. Victoria had posted it just 2 minutes earlier and had deliberately hidden it from me. Transferring my assistant. Excellent chef available around the clock. Highest bidder wins. Beneath the likes, a familiar profile picture stood out. It was my roommate Marcus. The same Marcus that Victoria had announced she was determined to win over. It felt as though a piece of my heart had been torn out. I simply stood there stunned. "I need a chef." Elena's cool, detached voice pulled me back to reality. "The salary is negotiable." "All right." My voice trembled slightly as I responded. I clutched my phone tightly and accepted her offer. After hanging up, I looked at the table full of food I had just prepared and suddenly felt utterly foolish. My father works as a driver for the Harrison family and my mother is their housekeeper. Because of this, I grew up in the staff quarters of the Harrison family estate. Victoria loved having me as her playmate ever since we were children, and she insisted I attend school with her. Just like that, 10 years passed. When it was time to apply for universities, even though there were other institutions I wanted to attend, one little pout from Victoria and I gave in, following her to Chicago. After 10 years together, I believed we were the closest of friends. I had even secretly begun developing deeper feelings for her. That was until university started and Victoria met Marcus. It was love at first sight for her. She came to me repeatedly asking for help and advice on how to pursue him. My heart sank, but I calmly accepted it and agreed to help her win him over. Even if we couldn't be something more, our years of friendship had to be genuine until I saw that post. So, in Victoria's eyes, I wasn't even a friend. I was merely an assistant she could transfer at will. After we arrived at university, Victoria became an extremely picky eater. She couldn't tolerate the cafeteria food and refused to eat takeout. So, I would carve out time every single day to come over and cook for her. When she skipped her elective classes, I would attend for her and complete her assignments. If she needed someone to run errands or bring her a bottle of water, I handled everything. Thinking about it now, it's no wonder Victoria regarded me as an assistant she could simply transfer. I was the fool naive enough to believe that a wealthy girl like Victoria would ever see me as a genuine friend. With a bitter smile, I took a picture of the meal I had just prepared and sent it to Elena. "I just finished cooking. Would you like to eat now? I can bring it over." Elena replied instantly, "Yes." Then she transferred me $300 and sent me her address. Once I received the money, my sadness eased somewhat, but a surge of anger replaced it. Victoria never paid me a single cent. So, what gave her the right to treat me like a servant? What gave her the right to transfer me? Elena was far more generous. Just as I was about to leave, Elena sent me another screenshot of Victoria's feed. Penalty for losing a bet. Don't take it seriously. Then she added, "Sorry, it looks like she was just joking." My mistake. Joking. My heart sank even further. Even if it was a joke, it meant that in Victoria's mind, I was simply someone she could casually joke about. I texted Elena back. It's fine. Our agreement still stands. All right. Elena sent me a waiting puppy sticker. I stared at the animated sticker in silence. Elena didn't seem like such a lively person from her appearance. One of my roommates was a local from Chicago and attended the same high school as Elena. He told me she was notoriously difficult to get along with back then. She had an angelic face that appeared above it all, but her words could cut people down to size, and she didn't show anyone an ounce of respect. I started to worry. If she didn't like my cooking, would she yell at me? I didn't mind being yelled at, but would she demand her money back? It was $300 after all. Anxiously, I followed the address to Elena's house. I stared at the two-story standalone villa and paused. Why couldn't I be one of the wealthy people in this world? I rang the doorbell. Elena answered the door, her face noticeably pale. I froze for a second, a question forming in my mind. Was Elena this thin the last time I saw her? She was wearing a loose black t-shirt. Though her delicate frame held up the shoulders, the rest of the shirt hung empty. The skin on her face was stretched taut over her bones, making her already fine features appear even sharper. After a quick greeting, I asked, "Are you sick?" She seemed surprised by my directness, stunned, then gave a soft Good thing I had made a relatively light meal. I came inside and took the food out of the insulated container. I made this on short notice. If there's anything you don't like, you can let me know. All right. But my worries were clearly unnecessary. In less than 10 minutes, Elena had devoured everything, leaving the plate spotless. She seemed like she had been starving for a long time. But that didn't make sense. It wasn't as though she couldn't afford to eat. I didn't overthink it. Seeing that she was finished, I prepared to clear the table. "I'll get it," Elena said, beating me to it and taking the dishes to the kitchen. A pretty decent employer, I thought. I sat in the living room scrolling through my phone and happened to receive a message from Victoria. "Where did you go?" "Marcus said he wants to try some dishes from our hometown. I remember you're really good at that one dish. Add it to the menu later. Oh, and he doesn't like cilantro. You haven't finished cooking for today, have you? Never mind. If you're short on time, just make a few extra dishes without cilantro." Is she ordering me around like I'm her personal servant? This is the 21st century. No, I replied decisively. I've been transferred. You can cook for yourself from now on. The typing indicator on her end appeared for a long time, but no message ever came. Elena came out of the kitchen, pulled out her phone with a neutral expression, and transferred me $7,000. She didn't say a word, but money speaks volumes. I stared at my account balance, ecstatic. If I was going to be an assistant, it was going to be for someone like this. In the end, Elena and I reached a satisfying agreement. I would cook 2 meals a day, lunch and dinner. On days I didn't have class, I would come over at the scheduled times. If I had class, I would prepare the food in advance and leave it in a warming cabinet for her. But I couldn't help feeling a bit guilty taking so much money just for cooking. So, I decided to be her right-hand person, available whenever she needed me. Victoria called, sounding slightly guilty. "You saw that post." I didn't say anything. I didn't mean it like that. It was just a joke. I still remained silent. Victoria's voice grew more urgent. "Didn't I post later that it was fake? I didn't actually mean I was going to transfer you." A man's voice came through the phone. "Victoria, you and Nathan used to be so close. It's understandable he's upset. Just give him some time to cool off. How about we go get some sushi? I know a really good place." It was Marcus' voice. After hearing Marcus, Victoria seemed to make up her mind. "You need to think this through. I can't keep you by my side forever." Then she hung up. That was completely absurd. Keep me by her side. She's been watching too many period dramas. Any lingering feelings I had for her vanished completely. I blocked her on everything. I'm not an idiot. After starting university, I realized I had feelings for Victoria, so I went along with whatever she wanted and helped her with everything. I even suppressed my own feelings to help her pursue Marcus. But Marcus was always bothered by my presence around Victoria. To put Marcus at ease, Victoria chose to draw a line between us this way to make it clear that I was merely an assistant she could transfer away at her whim. If that's how it was, then there was no point in me sticking around to be humiliated. I started dividing my time between campus and Elena's house. Elena's place was close to campus, only a 20-minute walk. But claiming she didn't want to waste my time, Elena bought me a scooter. It was a top-of-the-line new model from a prestigious brand. When the keys landed in my hand, I was moved beyond words. How could life be so different depending on who you're with? With Elena, I had everything I could possibly need. With Victoria, all I received was mistreatment. After that day, the atmosphere in my dorm room grew increasingly tense. Marcus would often brag about the designer watch Victoria bought him, the fancy restaurants she took him to, and how good she was to him. But no one paid him any attention. I was busy running back and forth all day cooking and studying. And by the time I returned at night, all I wanted to do was collapse. My other two roommates were either lost in games and live streams or had their heads buried in textbooks. After a solid week of this, Marcus couldn't take it anymore. After class, I hopped on my scooter, ready to zip over to Elena's. I twisted the throttle, but it didn't move. A force was pulling from behind. I turned to see Victoria grabbing the back of my scooter. She frowned. "Nathan, I know you're upset with Marcus, but you can't team up with people to bully him." "Bully him?" We were both speaking English, but I couldn't comprehend a word she was saying. Did I hit him? Did I curse him out? Victoria's face paled. "He said, you and your roommates are ganging up to give him the silent treatment." I scoffed. "Victoria, we've been friends for so many years. He's my boyfriend. Can't you just be decent about this?" Friends? Decent? Who was the one who announced to the world I was an assistant? Who was the one not being decent? Who was the one who used me as part of their game? There was no point in arguing. I said coldly, "Let go. I'm in a hurry." Victoria didn't release her grip, her face a mask of disappointment. "You're only bullying him because I like him, aren't you, Nathan? Even if we can't be together, we're still friends. Besides, me not liking you has nothing to do with Marcus. Even if he wasn't in the picture, it would never happen between us. We've known each other for so long. If we were going to get together, we would have already. You don't need to take it out on him." She was just saying whatever came to mind. So, she knew how I felt about her all along, which means she made me help her pursue Marcus intentionally. I looked down and gave a sarcastic smirk. Victoria thought she had hit the nail on the head. "Nathan," she said earnestly, "I think it's time you got a girlfriend. I have a few friends who are wonderful people. You've met them. I can introduce you." She listed a few names. "You've met Elena, too, but don't even think about it. She has extremely high standards." "Hey, how long are you going to talk?" A familiar voice interrupted her. A hand patted my shoulder. Victoria turned and saw Elena walk past her, swing a long leg over, and settle onto the back of my scooter. "I'm in a hurry to get home and eat. If you have something to say, text him." Elena's voice was nonchalant. "Elena." Victoria looked from her to me, her expression full of suspicion, as if something had just clicked. "No wonder you had the courage to block me. So, you found yourself a new target." She sneered. "Nathan, your feelings really are cheap." Elena sighed lightly. "Cheap? Weren't you just telling Nathan to find a girlfriend? Now that he has one, you're not happy about it." Victoria's expression shifted. "Elena, are you serious?" Elena didn't deny it. "I'm pursuing him." I felt somewhat embarrassed. Elena was a goddess-like figure at Riverside University. My benefactor was using her own reputation to support me. She truly had my loyalty secured. The atmosphere grew thick. Victoria took a step back, her breathing heavy as she sneered. "Elena, do you have any idea that Nathan is just a servant's son?" Marcus appeared at just the right moment, grabbing Victoria's arm. "It's all right. You don't have to stick up for me. I'm moving out soon anyway." Victoria seemed to remember something and calmed down. "Stop pretending. You're just trying to provoke me, aren't you?" Her gaze swept over my face. "On one hand, you bully Marcus out of jealousy, and on the other, you get Elena to put on a show. You've got quite a few tricks up your sleeve, but I'm not falling for it." Victoria pulled Marcus away. As she passed Elena, she whispered, "I don't know what Nathan offered you, but you don't have to play along with his act." I felt a weight on my back as Elena's head rested against me. Her hair was soft, but it still tickled, a tingling sensation spreading from the point of contact all the way to the top of my head. I stiffened slightly. "Let's go. I'm hungry." Her usually cool voice was low and somewhat breathy, almost sounding like she was whining. A jolt went through me, and I shook the strange thought from my head. Ignoring Victoria's expression behind me, I twisted the throttle and the scooter shot forward. When we arrived back, I felt somewhat guilty. "I'm sorry. Your relationship with Victoria is strained because of me. After all, they were good friends. I only knew Elena because of Victoria." I still remembered the first time I met her. It was at a gathering where they all got drunk and Victoria called me to come pick her up. When I arrived, everyone else was wasted. Only Elena was still sober. Elena wasn't as thin back then. She was leaning against the sofa, half her face hidden in the shadows. A simple black dress outlined her graceful figure, and her profile was exquisite. She held a wine glass in her long, fair fingers. She asked in a low voice, "Here to pick up Victoria?" I nodded, my eyes finding Victoria sleeping on her side on the sofa. Just as I was about to help her up, Elena moved faster, supporting her. "Let's go." Her tone was flat. I felt slightly awkward. "I can get her. You don't have to trouble yourself. It's fine." I was about to leave anyway. Elena helped Victoria into the elevator and down to the car waiting outside, then departed. After that, whenever I went to find Victoria, I would always see Elena. They even took the same elective courses. When I attended Victoria's electives for her, I would often see Elena there. Sometimes she would even save me a seat. Elena's voice pulled me back from my thoughts. She lowered her long lashes, her expression somewhat searching. "Is that the only thing you wanted to say to me?" I remembered how she had stood up for me in front of Victoria today and how angry she had made her. I had to show my appreciation. "Maybe," I asked tentatively, "do you need help with your elective assignments?" The professor for the elective I was taking for Victoria had assigned 2 short essays. I had written them ages ago. Now that Victoria and I were on bad terms, there was no need to give them to her. Elena blinked, then looked down and smiled somewhat helplessly. "Yes." The next second, my phone buzzed with a notification of a $700 transfer. I tried to suppress the upward curl of my lips. "You don't have to do that. Take it," Elena said, leaving no room for argument. So, I reluctantly accepted. After that day, Victoria sent me a text from an unknown number. "Let's see how long you can keep up this act. You'd better act the same way in front of your aunt and uncle." Aunt and uncle. I sneered. When Marcus moved out, he specifically warned me not to bother Victoria anymore. He also said that when he and Victoria got married, he would have my driver father and housekeeper mother fired. It was clear what Victoria had been telling him about me. I needed to get my family out of the Harrison household, and sooner rather than later. I grew up in the countryside. Later, my parents brought me to the city to be Victoria's playmate, and I lived in the staff quarters of the Harrison family's home. Back then, Victoria genuinely treated me like a friend. Her social circle was full of people just like her. When they discovered my family background, they couldn't help but make snide remarks. Victoria always defended me, kicking anyone who laughed at me out of her circle. Eventually, no one said anything to my face anymore. But behind my back, plenty of people still called me Victoria's little follower, saying my whole family was leeching off the Harrisons. I didn't care what other people thought because I knew Victoria and I were friends. But now, Victoria was just like them. When it was time to apply for universities, I had originally planned to apply to a school in Los Angeles. Victoria's mother came to me, her smile warm. "Victoria is going to Riverside University in Chicago, and I'm worried about her. You should apply to Riverside University, too. You two can look out for each other, and your parents will be more at ease. You've been inseparable for so many years. After graduation, you can come work at the Harrison Family Company and help Victoria." My parents depended on the Harrisons, so naturally, they wanted me to follow their arrangements. Most importantly, Victoria wanted me to apply to the same school as her. Under the spell of my hidden feelings, I changed my applications. It wasn't until I arrived at Riverside University that I realized things weren't so straightforward. Back in high school, Victoria's mother had asked me to keep an eye on Victoria to ensure she wasn't dating. Dating early wasn't appropriate, so after some consideration, I agreed. Victoria never did cross any lines. But after she started university, her mother asked me to spy on her and report her every move. I didn't want to invade Victoria's privacy, so I refused, using my busy school schedule as an excuse. Victoria's mother didn't say anything to my face, but shortly afterward, an antique vase in the Harrison household broke while my mother was cleaning. My family had to use most of our savings to pay for it, and my mother's salary was cut. That vase looked extremely familiar. When we were about 10 years old, Victoria and I snuck into the Harrison family storage room. We accidentally broke a vase that looked exactly the same and quickly ran off. When I heard about the incident, I thought it was a coincidence. Until recently, my mother messaged me saying that money was tight at home, and if only she had been more careful and not knocked over that vase because it was one of a kind. Mrs. Harrison had been generous, but they still had to pay nearly $20,000. One of a kind. That's when I realized it wasn't a coincidence or an accident. Victoria's mother had orchestrated it deliberately. As for why, I sneered and slammed the knife down, hacking off a piece of chicken thigh on the cutting board. What's wrong? Did someone make you angry? Elena's voice came from behind me. I took a deep breath, calming myself. It's nothing. Elena thought for a moment. Is it because finals are approaching? Too much pressure? You can focus on studying during finals week. You don't have to come over. Really? My eyes lit up and I turned to look at her. Elena was the most conscientious employer I had ever encountered. Compared to a slave driver, even a capitalist seemed humane. Elena nodded and asked, "What are your plans for the summer?" Plans? I tilted my head. I'll probably find an internship in Chicago. If I went back home, my mother would make me go help out at the Harrison house again. I couldn't imagine being in that suffocating environment. Is there a company you want to work for? That CEO-like tone. Could it be? Sure enough, Elena said she was going to work at her family's company for the summer and still wanted to eat my cooking. Come be my assistant. Double salary. You mean the family company? The company Elena mentioned was a Fortune 500 corporation. My eyes lit up. I'm in. Compared to an unpaid internship, you would have to be a fool to turn down a deal this good. I didn't go home for the summer. My mother called. Why are you interning in Chicago? Don't you have to pay for rent and transportation? You might as well have come home. Mrs. Harrison even said she wanted you to accompany Victoria to the company. It's fine. The internship I found here is excellent, and my boss is amazing. She even got me a spot in the free employee housing. My mother was silent for a moment, then asked, Nathan, are you dating someone? I frowned. Who told you that? When Victoria came back, I asked her about you. She didn't look too happy and said something about you dating. Who was the one dating? I said in a low voice, Mom, don't listen to what she says and don't ask her about me. My mother's tone became cautious. Did you and Victoria have a fight? You two were getting along so well, weren't you? Before I could speak, she added, Nathan, you know Victoria's temper. She's never been one to back down. If there's a problem, you should be the one to smooth things over. Mom, I sighed. The truth is, we could only really get along when we were kids and didn't know any better. Now, we might not even be able to be friends. You don't have to worry about me and Victoria. No matter how bad things get between us, it won't affect your or Dad's jobs. Victoria wasn't the type to sabotage people behind their backs. Her mother, on the other hand, what are you talking about? It's not about that. After hanging up, I readjusted my phone to the right angle. My benefactor was busy during the summer, so I couldn't miss a single meal. I started a food vlog, posting a cooking video every single day without fail. After a few weeks, one video went viral, and my follower count shot up to 15,000. Numerous brands started reaching out for sponsored content. I would cook, bring the food to the office to meet Elena, and then start my assistant duties. Every day was packed, and my boss would randomly shower me with bonuses. It made me want to sigh and say, this was the life. When my followers hit 150,000, I had an idea. After asking Elena's opinion, I edited her into a video, an anonymous version, of course. Even so, the slender, graceful figure in the video, the elegant women's pantsuit, the long, well-defined fingers, the multi-million-dollar watch, and the cool, pleasant voice were enough for viewers to imagine a stunning female CEO. The video's traffic exploded, and brand deals came flooding in. I was counting money until my hands cramped. I suddenly remembered I should give Elena a cut for her appearance. Elena seemed uninterested in such a small amount of money, but she was curious about something else. She stood behind me, leaning in to look at the comments. They're all shipping us. I didn't comment. Putting Elena in the video was admittedly a calculated move to guide things in that direction. How else was I going to make money? There are so many food bloggers out there these days. You have to add a bit of drama to stand out. Shipping means they want us to be a couple, right? Elena asked again. Alarm bells went off in my head. I quickly backpedaled. If you're not comfortable with it, I don't mind. Elena's voice held a hint of a smile. She leaned in closer. I'm ready to play along any time. She was extremely close when she said that, her warm breath fanning the side of my face. My ears grew hot. I cleared my throat. Well, if you're going to be so cooperative, I should probably still pay you an appearance fee. Elena raised an eyebrow slightly. Fine. You decide how much. My partnership with Elena continued until the school year started. In 2 months, my account broke 750,000 followers. Between ad revenue and what Elena paid me, I was practically a mini-millionaire. I considered whether I should commission a statue of Elena to take home and worship. When I went back to Denver for the national holiday, I deliberately avoided the Harrison house, but Victoria's mother still managed to find me. She stepped into my family's apartment, looked around, and commented casually, "This place is decent." My parents had purchased this apartment last year when I got into university. A standard 3-bedroom. This was the first time Victoria's mother had ever visited. I put on a polite expression. "Mrs. Harrison, what can I do for you?" Victoria's mother looked at me and got straight to the point. "Nathan, I just found out Victoria is dating someone. Why didn't you tell me?" I was taken aback. "Mrs. Harrison," I said tactfully, "I don't think I have any say in Victoria's affairs. Victoria and I hadn't spoken in 3 months." Victoria's mother sighed. "You've really disappointed me. It was just a matter of telling me. It would have been so much better if you had told me sooner. I've met that boy and I didn't like the look of him. If you had told me earlier, Victoria wouldn't have been with him for so long." She took my hand. "Nathan, I watched you grow up. I know you and Victoria are close. I even thought about you becoming my son-in-law. Her feelings for this boy are just a novelty. When you two graduate, you can come work for the Harrison Corporation or go abroad to study with Victoria. We can discuss all of that." She said it encouragingly. I almost laughed. Was she trying to dangle a future in front of me to get me to fight with Marcus? Unfortunately, after seeing Elena's generosity, I no longer believed in empty promises. A pie you can't eat is probably not real. Victoria's mother was extremely controlling. She probably didn't actually want me as a son-in-law. She just wanted me to get rid of Marcus, whom she disliked. In her perfect scenario, I would get rid of Marcus. Victoria would resent me, and she would remain the good mother who respects her daughter's choices. Just like in high school when she had me watch Victoria for any signs of dating. She would never ask Victoria directly. She always came to me. "Mrs. Harrison," I chose my words carefully. "I think Victoria and I are both adults now. We were close when we were younger, but now we have our own separate lives." The smile on Victoria's mother's face froze. When she left, the clicking of her heels echoed loudly. Before she departed, she left me with one last sentence. "Nathan, when you have no power, being obedient is the wise choice. It's a shame you missed your chance to change your destiny. You'll probably be stuck living in a place like this for the rest of your life." The nerve. I clicked my tongue. So petty. When my mother got home that evening, I told her, "Mom, you should quit." My mother was stunned. "What's wrong? Why so suddenly?" I told her about Mrs. Harrison's visit and the story of the antique vase. I made her angry again today. I don't know if she'll pull the same trick. My mother still winced, thinking about the money they had to pay. "All right. As for a new job," my mother waved her hand. "Don't you worry. I've been doing this for years. Even without this job, there are plenty of people who want to hire me." It was true. A good private cook was hard to find these days. With my mother's skills, finding a new employer would be easy. "Don't worry about your father either. She has no authority over him." My father was a military veteran. Besides being a driver, he was also Mr. Harrison's bodyguard. After all these years, Victoria's mother couldn't just fire him if she wanted to. I nodded, relieved. My mother quickly resigned and moved out of the Harrison house. That night, a call came from an unknown number. I answered, "Hello, what is the meaning of this?" Victoria's angry voice came from the other end. We hadn't spoken in 3 months. Hearing her voice felt like a lifetime ago. "Just because I'm not with you, you're going to make your mother quit. Nathan, how can you be so selfish? What on earth was she talking about?" I admitted. "You win." Victoria seemed to have made some kind of decision. "I'll break up with Marcus. Come straight over when you get to Chicago. Your fingerprint still works. And stop messing around with Elena. You think she's some kind of saint?" I hung up immediately. I cannot stand hearing anyone say a bad word about my benefactor. After the holiday, I returned to school. My life went on as usual, except now I was surrounded by 2 lunatics. First, Marcus ran up to me, eyes red, asking if I had said something to make Victoria break up with him and that I must have seduced her. Then, Victoria would appear, saying the breakup was her own choice and had nothing to do with anyone else. This whole breakup drama attracted a crowd and I became the center of gossip once again. What was even more baffling was that Victoria came looking for me, wanting to go back to how things were. "Lately, I've been thinking about you a lot and about our past. You're just missing your free chef," I said bluntly. "Plus a free stand-in for your classes and a free errand boy." Victoria frowned. Do you have to make it sound so ugly? I can say things that are even uglier. I stopped and gave her a half smile. What? You don't think I'm after your family's money anymore? Victoria's face changed. How did I know? Not long after Victoria and I had our falling out, I heard she was hospitalized. Gastroenteritis and a fever from eating contaminated food. After hesitating for a long time, I made some light food, found out her room number, and planned to visit. But as I reached the door, I heard her talking to a friend. The friend was teasing her. Victoria, are you really going to cut off your little assistant for Marcus? Can you bear to do it? Victoria's voice was impatient. He's the one throwing a tantrum. Am I supposed to cuddle him? Does he really think he's so important that I can't live without him? Stop pretending. The friend joked. Look, the second you're without your little assistant, your spoiled stomach acts up. You're not even serious about Marcus, so why make things so difficult? Victoria scoffed. You think he can stand to leave me? He's just throwing a fit because I'm dating someone. In the end, he'll be the one crawling back to me. He's found a new benefactor. You know, Elena. Victoria laughed dismissively. He doesn't even like Elena. He's just doing it to spite me. To be honest, if I hadn't found out about his feelings for me, I wouldn't have pursued his roommate. He likes me, but it's just for my family's money. Besides, with his parents' status, Victoria paused. If I actually got together with him, I'd be a laughingstock. And here I was about to crawl back to her. Hearing that outside her hospital room, I turned around and walked away. Now standing in front of me, Victoria's face turned deathly pale. Back then, you didn't want to go to Riverside University with me. It was only after my mother promised you a future at Harrison Corp that you agreed. I've thought it through now. Even if you only like me for my family's money, I can accept that. Nathan, let's be together. We've known each other for so many years. No one knows each other better than we do. Tell your mother to come back and stop putting on this act with Elena to make me angry. She reached for my hand. I dodged it. What makes you so confident that I'm trying to make you angry? You want things to go back to the way they were, but I don't want to play along anymore. For the sake of our past friendship, let's not make this ugly for everyone. Clearly, Victoria didn't listen to a word I said. She started waiting downstairs to bring me breakfast, sending cakes, flowers, and luxury gifts. On top of that, she started auditing my classes, attracting a swarm of gossip-hungry eyes. I was beyond annoyed. After this harassment continued for some time, I had no choice but to treat her like she was invisible. Until one day after class, I received a call from Victoria and Elena's former roommate. Nathan, you have to get over here quickly. Victoria and Elena are fighting. Fighting. I rushed over. According to their ex-roommate, everyone had been drinking at her birthday party. Victoria and Elena said something to each other and a fight broke out. In the private room, foamy broken bottles littered the floor. The lights were on full blast and the background music was off. It looked like the fight was over. As soon as I walked in, Victoria, who had a cut on her lip, looked up at me, her eyes lighting up. Nathan, you're here, too. I glanced at her. She was fine. No serious injuries, and she could still talk. I scanned the room and finally found Elena in a dim corner. She was leaning against the sofa with her hand on her forehead, her eyes slightly closed. I hurried over and took a closer look. Damn it. Why does Victoria always go for the face? Seeing the fresh scratches on Elena's face, I cursed under my breath. Elena, I called her name softly a couple of times. Elena slowly opened her eyes, her gaze hazy. I asked tentatively, are you sober? Can I take you home? I held out my hand to her. The person who called me was confused. Nathan, aren't you here to get Victoria? The words had barely left her mouth when another beer bottle smashed onto the floor behind us. I didn't need to turn around to know Victoria was having another meltdown. Elena took my hand to stand up, but her foot slipped and she stumbled, leaning her entire body against me. I instinctively caught her, her slender frame falling into my arms. A pleasant, cool fragrance mixed with the smell of alcohol filled my senses. Her body heat transferred to me, and I felt dizzy, as if I had been drinking, too. My throat felt like it had been scratched by something, leaving my mouth dry. I struggled to compose myself and turned to the person who had called me. I'm taking Elena with me then. She scratched her head. All right. As long as those two weren't in the same room trying to kill each other. Before we left, Victoria grabbed my sleeve. She lifted her red eyes, her expression dark. Nathan, are you really just going to leave me? Are we not even friends anymore? I was about to open my mouth when the arm around my waist tightened. I'm dizzy, Elena grumbled, burying her face in the crook of my neck. What are you pretending for? Victoria pointed to the cut on her face, her expression venomous. Nathan, you didn't see how hard she hit me. I get it now. I get it all. I blocked you from that post, so how could you have seen it? It was all her. She's the snake who ratted me out. Otherwise, we wouldn't be like this. She sounded drunk and delirious, muttering to herself. I treated her like my best friend, and she stabbed me in the back, trying to break us up. We grew up together. What is she? As she spoke, Victoria lunged for Elena again, ready to fight. The people around her quickly held her back. I quickly helped Elena leave. Victoria called after me. Nathan, you're really choosing her over me. Her voice was low. You're going to regret this. After bringing Elena back, I took out the first aid kit. Under the light, the scratches on Elena's face looked even more startling. I dabbed some ointment on a cotton swab and gently applied it. Elena lay on the sofa, her eyes half closed, her brow slightly furrowed. Does it hurt? I'll be gentler. As I was applying the ointment, I suddenly felt an intense gaze. I looked up and met Elena's focused stare. I felt a pang of guilt. I'm so sorry. You got dragged into my drama with Victoria again, and you got hurt because of it. She didn't answer directly. Instead, she sat up and slowly leaned in. I leaned back slightly, asking uncomfortably, what's wrong? I wasn't just getting hurt. Those captivating eyes were fixed on me. She's in worse shape than I am. It took me a second to understand. Was she trying to say that she wasn't the only one getting hit and that Victoria was hurt worse? Seeing this normally cool and composed beauty seriously correcting me on this point, I didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She's actually proud of it. I found it somewhat funny. Victoria's not all there. Why bother arguing with her? Elena leaned in closer, her eyes narrowing. Are you defending her? What kind of reading comprehension was that? I'm saying you didn't need to fight her and get yourself hurt like this. As I spoke, I subconsciously reached out and touched her face. After I did it, I realized what I had done and awkwardly pulled my hand back. Are you worried about me? Elena moved closer again, our noses almost touching. Her eyes were so intense they made me feel hot all over. I couldn't sit still. I mumbled a reply and tried to escape with an excuse. I'll go get you a glass of water. Before I could stand up, she grabbed my wrist. I was caught off guard and fell toward her. She lay back on the sofa and I ended up hovering over her, the space between us almost non-existent. My face instantly turned bright red. Elena was getting closer and closer. I swallowed hard, struggling to control myself. Elena looked absolutely captivating right now. But she wasn't sober. If I lost control and did something to my benefactor, would I live to see another day? Elena. I called out her name urgently and pushed myself off the sofa to stand up. Elena looked stunned, her unfocused gaze sharpening. I'll go get you a glass of water. I blurted out and fled. I composed myself in the kitchen. When I came back with a glass of water, the living room was empty. My phone dinged. A message from Elena. I'm tired. You should go home and get some rest, too. The atmosphere between Elena and me suddenly became strange. We were still eating together and filming videos as usual, but something just felt different. I posted the newly edited video, and even the fans had questions. Why does the CEO's voice sound a little down? Has she been too busy lately? That was it. It was her mood. It felt like she was somewhat unhappy. But why? A few days later, Elena sent me a message. Something's come up recently. You don't have to come over for a while. Take a good break. Then she sent me a red envelope full of cash. I typed and deleted my reply over and over. I wanted to ask her what was wrong, but I didn't feel like it was my place. In the end, I gave up. I soon discovered the real reason. I was in class when several news alerts popped up on my phone. Nexus Biotech CEO announces divorce. Executive mistress and illegitimate son suspected to be moving in. Mysterious heiress's status at risk. $400 billion fortune in dispute. I was shocked. Nexus Biotech. Isn't that Elena's family company? So, that's what happened. No wonder she was in a bad mood. All morning, news and rumors circulated on social media. Things like the heiress's mother left with nothing. The heiress was out of favor with her grandfather and had her credit cards cut off. She was deep in debt from frequenting high-end places, and she was kicked out of the family. A whole mess of gossip. Elena didn't reply to my messages. She probably hadn't seen them. The second class was over. I bolted for Elena's place, but an old white-haired butler answered the door. He adjusted his glasses and asked me what I wanted. My eyes widened in shock. She even sold the house. Had Elena really become a fallen heiress? Would she be homeless? Or would someone try to harm her? My mind raced. Images from television dramas flashing through my head. The next thing I knew, I was checking my bank account balance. Gritting my teeth, I transferred a six-figure sum to Elena. Don't worry about it. Use this for emergencies. I had earned a decent amount as a content creator over the past few months, so I had the cash. After a moment's thought, I sent another message. Do you have a place to stay? If not, you can rent an apartment. I sent her some rent money, too. Elena still didn't reply. Could her phone have been cut off, too? I worried all day until evening when Elena finally messaged me. Just 2 words. Come downstairs. When I saw Elena downstairs, she looked no different than usual. I ran over, looking her up and down. Are you all right? She seemed fine. Why did you send me money? Elena suddenly asked, her expression complicated as she stared at me. I saw the news, I mumbled. I thought you were in trouble. You can use it for now. If I'm in trouble, you'll give me money. Elena looked down and chuckled. What are we to each other for you to be so good to me? Friends? I said. Are you this good to all your friends? I thought about it and nodded slowly. I guess so. Back when Victoria and I were friends, no one ever said I wasn't good to her. But if I had to give the old Victoria that much money, I would have hesitated. Maybe because Elena has helped me so much, she carries more weight. But I don't want to be friends with you. As Elena's words fell, I froze. It made sense. Really? My relationship with Elena was transactional. Why would I ever think she would see me as a friend? Even thinking that, my heart ached. I lowered my eyes and forced a smile. Then what do you want? Elena stepped closer, her gaze intense and unwavering. I want to be with you. Not as friends, not as employer and assistant. I want you to be mine. My breath caught in my throat. The world seemed to stop spinning for a moment. What? I managed to choke out, my voice barely a whisper. I like you, Nathan, Elena said plainly, as if she were stating a simple fact. I've liked you for a while now. I thought I was being obvious, but apparently not obvious enough. Her cool, composed demeanor cracked slightly, revealing vulnerability underneath. When you sent me that money, when you came running, despite everything happening with my family, it confirmed what I already knew. You're not like anyone else. I stood there completely dumbfounded. My benefactor, the goddess of Riverside University, the heir to a Fortune 500 company, was confessing to me. But your family situation, the news. Elena waved her hand dismissively. That's all noise. My grandfather is testing me, seeing if I can handle pressure and navigate corporate politics. The money, the house, none of it matters. What matters is whether you feel the same way I do. I thought about the past few months. The way she looked at me sometimes, the casual touches, the generous payments that went beyond what was necessary, the way she defended me in front of Victoria. It all made sense now. I thought you were just being a good employer, I said honestly. Elena laughed, a genuine laugh that lit up her entire face. Nathan, no employer buys their assistant a top-of-the-line scooter or pays them double what they're worth just because. She reached out and took my hand. So, what do you say? Will you give us a chance? I looked down at our intertwined hands, feeling the warmth spread through my entire body. After everything with Victoria, after feeling used and discarded, here was someone who genuinely valued me. Someone who saw me as an equal, not a servant. Yes, I said, squeezing her hand. I'd like that very much. Elena smiled, and for the first time since I had known her, she looked completely at peace. Good. Now about that money you sent me. I'm keeping it as a loan. You'll need it back for our future together. I couldn't help but laugh. Even now, she was thinking about my well-being. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. Elena and I officially started dating, and surprisingly, it felt natural. We continued our routine of meals and videos, but now there was an added layer of intimacy. She would rest her head on my shoulder while I cooked or steal bites of food before I finished plating. My followers noticed the change immediately and the comments exploded with excitement. I knew it. The CEO and the chef are together. This is the content we've been waiting for. As for Victoria, she eventually found out through the university grapevine. She tried confronting me one more time, but I simply told her, Victoria, we had our time as friends, and that time has passed. I'm happy now. Genuinely happy. I hope someday you can be happy, too, but that's not my responsibility anymore. She looked like she wanted to say more, But Marcus appeared and pulled her away. I watched them go, feeling nothing but relief. My parents were initially concerned about me dating someone from such a wealthy family, but when they met Elena and saw how she treated me with respect and genuine affection, their worries melted away. Elena even helped my mother find a better position with a kind family who appreciated her skills. As the school year progressed, Elena proved herself to her grandfather, earning back her position in the company through her own merit and hard work. She never needed the family money or status to define her worth. Watching her navigate those challenges with grace and determination only made me fall for her harder. One evening as we sat together editing our latest video, Elena turned to me and said, "You know, when I first saw Victoria's post about transferring you, I didn't plan any of this. I genuinely just needed a chef. But then I got to know you, saw how kind and hardworking you were, how you gave everything without expecting anything in return. That's when I realized I wanted you in my life, not as an employee, but as a partner." I kissed her forehead gently. "I'm glad you made that call. It changed everything for me." She smiled against my shoulder. "Me, too." Looking back, I realized that sometimes the worst moments in life lead to the best outcomes. Being treated as disposable by Victoria hurt deeply, but it freed me to find something real with Elena. I learned that genuine relationships are built on mutual respect, not obligation or history. I learned that my worth isn't determined by how others treat me, but by how I treat myself. Our food channel continued to grow, eventually hitting over 1 million followers. Brands were constantly reaching out and we even got offers for our own cooking show. But more importantly, I had found someone who valued me, who saw me as an equal partner in every sense of the word. Someone who, when the world tried to knock her down, still worried about my well-being above her own. As we celebrated our channel's milestone with champagne and homemade pasta, Elena raised her glass. "To new beginnings," she said. I clinked my glass against hers to finding where we truly belong. And in that moment, surrounded by the warm glow of our kitchen and the woman I loved, I knew I was finally home.